Welcome back, everybody. I was going to offer a preamble on TechBridge NavalX, but then it occurred to me, well, why should I do that when we have some of the foremost experts from Southern California and nationwide? So let me just do this. It's an honor to present to you our host this afternoon, Brian Suh. Brian is a colleague of ours at UC Riverside, and he's the Director of Technology Commercialization, Office of Tech Partnerships. And his leadership role includes development, protection, marketing, and commercialization of UCR's campus research and intellectual property. He came to us by way of the U.S. Navy Laboratory SBIR systems down in San Diego, and he is also former Fed Laboratory Consortium Far West regional coordinator. So in other words, he knows his stuff. So Brian, welcome aboard. It's an honor to have you with us today.
Thanks, Martin. It's good to be here. Thank you very much for joining us on your lunch hour this Thursday afternoon. I'm excited to be moderating this panel of our guests and talking about the NavalX Tech Bridge, which is a fairly new initiative. I think it's about just over a year old, which you'll learn more about. The slides are only a few, and really we want it to be interactive. So please, your questions, submit your questions in the Q&A, and we'll either try to answer them as we go along or towards the end. So NavalX Tech Bridge, it's accelerating the discovery, development, and integration of talent and technology into capability to support the warfighter. So for today, we have our panelists. So we have Whitney Tallarico. She is the director of the National Naval-X Tech Bridges. So there's 12 of them that she'll talk about, and from the Office of Naval Research. We have Alan Yeager from the Naval Surface Warfare Center, Port Hueneme. He's the director of the Ventura Tech Bridge, which is just up the coast from us here from Riverside. Troy Clark, he's from Naval Surface Warfare Center Corona Division, and he is the director of the Inland Empire Tech Bridge. Shadi Azoum is the director of the SBIR program at NAVWAR, my former home that I spent almost 13 and a half years there with. And he's also the Tech Bridge SBIR STTR Liaison Officer. And then last but not least is the dot connector, Jennifer Stewart. I've known her for years now. She is the program manager for the technology transfer program at Naval Surface Warfare Corona Division. So it's, she'll talk about some of the programs and how it relates with NavalX Tech Bridge. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Whitney so she can talk about the overall Tech Bridge program.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, so we have a great team here today. So I know I'm going first, but it doesn't mean I'm going to have every answer. One of the best things about our network is that we work together to really highlight really talented people and technology and opportunities across the nation and soon to be beyond, but we'll talk about that later. But right now we have 12 tech bridges. These are the locations, as you can see, and these all kind of represent the work we put in over 1 year to get these ones up to speed, and we have 3 more coming. But the important thing to know about tech bridges is these are easy access points to really identify opportunities inside of the Department of the Navy and also a little bit in the Department of Defense. We try to connect really well with our local ecosystems, with university partners, industry partners, and other DoD or government entities to create kind of innovation centers or hubs for people to come through and really share their best ideas and talent with us and us with them. So next slide. Yeah, the way that we kind of communicate across the board is we talk through what might look nebulous, but you did get to see the video, or we're going to show the video after this, on the innovation pipeline, which is narrated by Troy Clark. He has an amazing voice. You should definitely Google him or put troyclark.com in. But if you go from left to right, we've worked on this pipeline for a while, taking lean methodology principles that have gone into I-Corps, that have gone into Hacking for Defense, and a lot of innovative groups in terms of the process of building something and really getting it scaled and integrated. So these are the steps that we're using to kind of communicate across all of our tech bridges and with our partners to better understand and to better translate capabilities with opportunities. So if someone comes in with a problem in the Navy, I'll speak a little bit to the Navy just because we're here, but this process doesn't have to be used for the Navy. You know, if we have some people in the fleet saying they're having a problem getting something done, or even in our workforce, if there's a challenge with some technology that we're using, or we know that there's better products in industry, but we don't have them. So we go through the problem sourcing process. We help kind of curate to figure out where people should be, you know, refining their problems to go to, whether that problem belongs to be solved by industry or academia. We try to do a scan of what's available, and we have a lot of partnership intermediaries working on that, and other performers helping us with the tech scanning in order to incubate solutions, eventually prototype once we know what we're trying to solve and that'll work, and then validate the solutions before we can field them and really scale them to a sustained kind of performance, like where you know there's training involved, there's a way to get technology put on ships and otherwise, just so that we can like think up front who all those stakeholders need to be. So I guess this is kind of our framework for understanding how we add value. We really help link together the people and the products and the technology needed to go from sourcing problems to a sustained solution. But yeah, I think we're gonna have a video to go to that. Is that coming up? There we go.
For entrepreneurs, startups, and small businesses, it can be tough to partner with large organizations. It takes vast personal networks, years of experience, and oftentimes some luck to get your product delivered. That's why we created NavalX Tech Bridges to help get your ideas and technology directly to those in the Navy and Marine Corps who need it, fast. Our Tech Bridge network is deeply embedded with sailors, Marines, academia, and innovators in the private sector. That means we are uniquely positioned to connect problem owners with solution providers and to drive their products where they need to go. We've mapped our vast network of naval programs across the innovation pipeline, so you always know where you are, where you need to go, and who will help get you there. That way, you can better manage your resources and chart the most effective course to delivering your product. For more information, visit our website and let us know what you need. Your next opportunity is closer than you think.
Awesome. The last thing I'll say before turning it over back to Brian is that, you know, for the regions that you saw on the map, they all have different expertise and portfolios. So some of them focus on undersea technology. Some of them that you know from today have some data science and data analytic capabilities. You know, there's really a range, and our goal is to really find the synergy and the way to find the right handoffs throughout the process for whoever you know, best suits the capability needs of the sailors and Marines. But yeah, we can talk about that more as we go. We'll definitely leave room for questions. So Brian, back to you.
Great. Thanks, Whitney. All right, so next up, wanted to introduce, so, you know, whoops.
For entrepreneurs, startups, and small businesses, it can be tough to.
There we go. So as Whitney mentioned in her map, we're actually very fortunate here in Southern California that we have 3 of the 12 tech bridges. And so next up, we're going to have 2 of the tech bridges talk, and Shadi may be able to talk about some of the things going on at the Socal Tech Bridge. But next up is Alan Yeager from, like I said, the director of the Ventura Tech Bridge to talk about the focus areas that we have.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay, Brian?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Well, happy to be joining you guys virtually. I'm up here at the Naval Surface Warfare Center, Port Hueneme Division at the Naval Base Ventura County. So just up the road a little bit. For those of you who are not familiar with Ventura County, really kind of home to quite a diverse network, geographic rich environment that not only includes sort of our typical kind of high-tech corridor through the 101 freeway, but also with the naval base. We have 3 warfare centers, kind of unique in that regard. We have the Naval Surface Warfare Center, Port Hueneme Division, my home command, as well as the Naval Air Warfare Center Weapons Division out at Point Mugu. And we have a Naval Expeditionary Warfare Center, NAVWAR here. And so we're kind of unique in this area. Not only do, like I said, we have the 3 warfare centers, we have some really unique geographic areas, home to the Pacific Test Range. So large part of the ocean that's set aside, restricted airspace and sea space for testing and evaluation of weapon systems, communication systems. We have our home of the self-defense test ship. So this is the world's largest remote controlled boat, a former Spruance class destroyer that we can use, as well as some unique assets over at the XWIC side also for testing equipment and tools down to very deep levels, 35,000 feet below sea level equivalent. So kind of a neat area. Here, as far as Tech Bridge Ventura, so kind of like Whitney introduced as far as embracing that pipeline of innovation. We have technical focus areas that span across all 3 warfare centers, and hopefully you can see on the slide there, land, sea, and air. So again, where we're looking at aircraft systems, systems on aboard ships, as well as some of the land-based and expeditionary side, and everything from the weapons communication radar systems all the way through to environmental. Water, energy generation, things like that. Big focus on manned and unmanned systems from a test and evaluation standpoint. A lot of our work here is really on that, what we call T&E side. So the in-service engineering supporting the equipment that is currently deployed out on the fleet, as well as looking at incremental improvements and innovation that we can make for supporting those men and women on the ships and the systems that are currently deployed. And then kind of our focus sort of here at the Tech Bridge is supporting all of those. And we have, we're fortunate, we have a pretty unique facility, about 60,000 square feet of space that has everything from a indoor drone cage to an above ground test tank, to a wide variety of machining for prototyping, testing, material corrosion testing, accelerated testing, 3D printing, additive manufacturing, and then also getting into sort of the mixed reality, augmented reality, virtual reality for the purposes of looking at maintenance and virtual tech assist and those kinds of technologies. So again, fortunate that we have this space here. Very fortunate to be a part of a larger 3 warfare center network, and then here in the county, like I said, with some of the geographic capabilities we have with the sea test range and some of the large assets. And so really our focus, going back to what Whitney said, is helping to support companies going through that innovation pipeline and providing them not only some insight into possibly requirements and end users, but also the availability to come here physically to the space and use some of the unique assets, tools, and equipment that we have here that help further that innovation. And we are all about accelerating capabilities to the fleet and warfighter, and we see this fit perfectly within that. So Brian, not to go too far over my time, hopefully, but I guess I will pause for questions, or if we're doing questions afterwards, just let me know how to best fit in.
Yeah, we'll see if there's any specific questions for your Tech Bridge. If not, then we'll get into the Q&A session here. So I've got just a very fun question for you. So any of these facilities overlooking the beach over there in Ventura with the water?
We are physically where I'm at right now. We are physically at the port of Hueneme. So we're very close to the water. It's not a beach necessarily, but I can probably almost throw a rock and hit water.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Alan. So next up, we have Troy Clark, who is the director of our very own Inland Empire Tech Bridge, which is right here based out of Norco, to talk about what we have coming out of the Inland Empire and their focus areas. Troy?
All right, thank you, Brian. Good afternoon. Great to be with you. So I'm anchored to the Naval Surface Warfare Center, Corona, and we're the Performance and Readiness Assessment Agent for the Navy. We're also the Measurement Science and Calibration Agent for the Navy and Marine Corps, and then the Range Systems Engineering Agent for the Navy and Marine Corps. So we're really focused on three key areas for us. Since we're in the performance and readiness data, we're really a leader in the Navy's data analytics space. So we focus on data analytics and visualization. And then as the Range Systems Engineering Agent, we're also, we instrument and design and install all the tactical training range systems. And then in the next generation of that is the live virtual constructed, which is a huge network that fuses the live training ranges. You might think of the Top Gun training range. And then with the virtual and then the simulated training environments, and then the constructive where the computers are creating and constructing other objects into the system, whether friend or foe. So focusing on the networked data environments, and then as the measurement science and calibration agent, we're focused on measurement technology and how might we keep on the leading edge of that to ensure our weapon systems are operating properly and safely. So while we have a Navy focus on those three areas, our region has additional areas that may come into play. We're the center of the nation's logistics and supply chain. So that plays an important role in readiness as well, but it also has other areas and topics that can be of interest to our regional innovation ecosystem. We're also recently announced that the Inland Empire is home of the National Security Agency's Center for Cybersecurity Education at Cal State San Bernardino. So that's a great asset to our region and can also come into play with our regional innovation ecosystem. So focusing on that, working with our academic partners, we've got just a really robust opportunity ahead for us, and looking forward to continuing to build those partnerships with our region. Back to you, Brian.
Great. Thank you, Troy, for sharing the insights about the Inland Empire Tech Bridge. So, now we're going to shift gears a little bit and talk a little bit, this is an SBIR conference, SBIR STTR conference. So wanted to invite Shadi, Azoum from NAVWAR down in San Diego to talk a little bit how SBIR can intersect with the Tech Bridge ecosystem. So with that, Shadi, over to you.
Yep, for sure. Hi, everybody. Hope you can hear me all right. Shadi Azoum. Just like Brian mentioned, I'm actually a program manager for SBIR for my own Syscom, NAVWAR, but I also serve as a resource to the Naval-X and Tech Bridge communities. Specifically, some of the initiatives that we are doing that help bring SBIR and Tech Bridges together is we are trying to get the word out about SBIR. That includes us developing workshops, information sessions to help educate people in those respective Tech Bridge communities with understanding SBIR and the processes behind them. I think another thing that I do want to point out that we are actively doing is really addressing all of some of the acquisition hurdles, if you will. We are making some amazing strides with the SBIR process. Some of the pilots that we've actually executed across the Navy, such as Tech Acceleration, have helped accelerate the timeline from topic to award. So we have been exploring options for accelerating our opportunities within SBIR. And then the last but not least, how we do see Tech Bridge and SBIR relating to each other is really infusing some of our SBIR topics with that voice from the fleet. As Whitney mentioned, she showed the innovation pipeline. And the first part was source, and that was a very critical piece because we want to make sure that all of our SBIR topics do have that voice from our fleet or end users. So I think having that connection and infusing our existing topics with that source, I think is very critical. And that's where we kind of see SBIR and Tech Bridge playing along. I think I wanted to make that as short and sweet as possible, but definitely open to questions to the community.
So Shadi, there was a question in the audience from Jean Fernando, and the question says, are there, and I would assume, are there specific topic areas for the Tech Bridge? And are there entry deadlines for coordinating with the Tech Bridge for those topic areas?
So the underneath the Navy, we have syscoms. We have actual commands that have an SBIR budget. So those topics that you see that are posted as broad agency announcements on NavySBIR.com actually do come from the individual syscoms themselves. So I would say is that if to have that connection between TechBridge and those respective topics, we can just say that some of the topics that are released in those BAAs do come from different sources within that syscom, and one of which that we're trying to do is get a TechBridge sort of voice to them. Hopefully I answered the question.
Okay, thanks. Jean, if you have follow-up questions, please submit them in the Q&A if you have more. So I'm going to shift gears here a little bit and then invite Jennifer Stewart to come talk about tech transfer and how tech transfer within the Navy ecosystem can intersect with the tech bridges. Jennifer?
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, great. Thank you for having me this afternoon. So the way that technology transfer can intersect and support the NavalX tech bridges is what we do in tech transfer is very complementary to the goals and objectives of the tech bridge. And I can give you some real world examples. So my tech bridge director for the Inland Empire, Troy Clark, the phenomenal Troy Clark, he may connect with you on certain technology areas that pertain to our mission at Corona Division, but you may not know how to pivot your technology to meet our specific needs. Technology transfer and the variety of mechanisms and agreements that we have in our toolbox can allow for a cooperation and a collaborative relationship so that we could use something like a CRADA, a Cooperative Research and Development Agreement, where you would actually work side by side with our Navy scientists and engineers to co-develop and better inform your product deliverables. And so that's just one example of how technology transfer supports the activities that occur within the TechBridge network.
Awesome. Thanks for that brief overview on TechBridge and tech transfer and how they can work together. So we've got a number of questions here that I'd like to get to. And one of the first ones is how do I find out what kind of problem the Navy needs or has, and how do I best present my product or solution? So that could be to any one of those, you know, Jennifer or Troy or Alan or Whitney or Shadi.
So
Yeah,
go ahead.
Shadi.
Sorry, go ahead, Whitney.
Either way, I was just going to say I did post in the chat multiple links to different kind of sites that might be helpful. It can get confusing. Everyone has a different schedule. So SBIR opportunities are definitely around, and we have the link for that in here. But in terms of submitting problems and getting to know or trying to submit questions and things like that, you kind of have to pay attention to the cycles, which Shadi can definitely speak to. But I also wanted to throw out to you some other opportunities through OTA consortiums and BAAs as well, just to give you other options. But go ahead, Shadi.
Oh yeah, so I think to answer the question that was posted in the chat, I would say that the SBIR topics that we release every cycle that Whitney mentioned is a great source to find out what we're looking for. Every one of our Navy SBIR topics do tie in with a program office and what their needs are. So you can definitely get a good idea of what we're looking for from our topics. The topics do change depending on what our priorities and focus areas are, but that's one, I would say, source from an SBIR perspective of where industry can get an idea of what we're looking for.
And then on the flip side of that, I would offer that you could do the process in reverse. So as Whitney posted in the chat, we have a portal at navalx.navy.mil/industry where we are gathering technical capabilities from industry and academia. And as a Tech Bridge director, our responsibility is to, within our own commands, look at those internal problems. So challenges that we're trying to solve. And so if your capabilities are in there, or you've reached out based on our technology focus areas, reached out to us individually to let us know of your capability, we can then take that process in reverse. We see the capabilities and then we scan the capabilities in Tech Scout, trying to address the challenges we're doing. So it's a little bit different than the SBIR problem statements, and but another way to get into our ecosystem.
So I think one thing to articulate is, the Tech Bridges are not like a funding source. It's not an agency that you're actually going to get money from. The Tech Bridges were set up to help be a resource for the small businesses, for the entrepreneurs, for the innovators, to help connect with the needs and provide solutions to the warfighter, or even dual use solutions.
Absolutely.
If I may, Brian and Troy, the other avenue that we've used and have found successful is through our partner intermediary agreements, PIA. So partner intermediaries sort of are a once removed external entity that can help sort of do that tech scouting that Troy mentioned. And we can communicate with them pretty openly, sort of what are our general needs and sort of focus areas, kind of like what you saw on both Troy's slide and my slide. And then they can help go engage with some of these small businesses or some of the non-traditional government contractors, is I think the word we use. And so I would encourage you also to connect up with them. A lot of the Tech Bridges, not all of them, have PIA partners. We do through the Matter Labs group. And so they are very close in, and they can kind of help make some of that connection and understand sort of where they would potentially fit with their capability or their technology, where they would fit within what the Warfare Center is looking at, or the larger sort of Navy community in there. So it's just another good resource for those that are set up that way.
Okay.
And Brian, could I add one more avenue for folks?
Yeah, absolutely.
So majority of your Navy laboratories, your Navy organizations have events called Industry Days. In fact, yesterday, Corona Division hosted a virtual Industry Day. And even though Industry Days are focused on federal acquisition regulation procurement vehicles, typical service and materials contracts, they can also give you insight into what we're buying. And then as an entrepreneur, if you put on your customer discovery hat, you can then connect on, okay, if they're buying that, they must be interested in solutions for that. And maybe I don't meet the exact criteria for the contract that they advertise out on the street, but I could have some complementary solutions to that. And I can reach into through an industry day and talk to the owner of that problem statement and find out exactly if there's some way I can contribute to the solution. So industry days are also, they're highly marketed across the Tech Bridges, and they support all of the different Navy laboratories within their regions. And it's another great resource for customer discovery.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. If you don't mind, I would just love to say, while you have all of us up here on the screen, a little bit of understanding how to work with us might be helpful. So, Shadi is basically providing support and SBIR knowledge and, liaising between our headquarters level, but also for all of the Tech Bridges, for people internally who don't know how to execute SBIRs, and people in industry who don't necessarily understand the process, which can be challenging. And there are local partnership or technical assistance centers, so PTACs in your state, but then there's also folks like Shadi and folks in our team who can help direct you towards events and things that'll help you really understand the SBIR process. Also, like with Alan and Troy as Tech Bridge directors, you can come to us with any challenges you're having with the process, and we could relay them to people who can help really spell out a best path forward. And Jennifer Stewart's a rock star on the tech transfer side, so she understands a lot of programs inside of and outside of the SBIR programs. So, and my guess, my role is just to help connect people across the board. But really the teammates you're seeing here are people you should be reaching out to if you're having challenges or if you're wondering if it's a good move or not to apply. And I see Bob Smith on here lurking. So he's the Department of Navy SBIR lead, the program manager for all of SBIRs. And Shadi works directly for Bob and talks to us all the time about opportunities to really improve outreach. And he even provides an SBIR coordinator for each location, someone who can liaise, you know, not so high up if you want to just start talking to someone and figure out what's going on, who can help you through the process. So our goal is to help make it easy for you to work with us. Thanks.
So on that vein, you know, one of the questions here is, you know, how does the focus areas differ between the Socal Tech Bridge and the Ventura Tech Bridge? But I want to kind of take that a step further and say, you know, how, if I'm sitting here in the audience, how do I know which tech bridge is most appropriate for me? And is it, you know, do I go and search through and find the one and contact them? Or is there kind of a front door type of portal to say, okay, this is the type of support that I need? Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll make this easy. I'm putting our email address in the chat. It's agility@navy.mil. That will get you access to all of us. But I think the important thing to know is that if you talk with one of us, you get all of us. So even if someone reaches out to me and it's about a data science challenge, I pass them on to Troy. If someone reaches out to Jen and they have questions about SBIR, she can point them right to Shadi. So it's really up to you. The technical areas do differ, and Alan, I think you should speak to yours again just so that they understand. But really, even if we're not the right group to talk to, yeah, we'll help you find the right people. That's the whole point of our team, you know, working together. Alan, do you want to speak to your technical stuff?
Sure, and sort of just as a close to that, the good news is we all sort of like each other. And and actually do work well together, which isn't always the case, you know, in organizations. But so Whitney does a pretty good job at corralling all of us, and we meet regularly. And so very, very often, in fact, you know, up at Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, we had a company come in and they were talking about some of the stuff that they were doing, and it wasn't a good sort of clear fit for what we do here. But I can send them right up to Chris. And he can talk to him up there. And so we do that quite frequently. You know, like Whitney said, through the agility side is easy to get in, but we all work together. And kind of like was said, I mean, some of our kind of focus and unique areas here, we are unique in that we kind of have an actual facility with a lot of equipment, test equipment, prototype equipment, everything from, you know, a drone cage to above ground water tank that we can test things, we can prototype things, we can do accelerated testing. So it may not be that what you're doing relates exactly to, say, the Naval Surface Warfare Center Port Hueneme Division, but if the facility that we have here can be used, even if you're supporting something under, you know, what Troy's doing or another tech bridge, it's available. I mean, that's sort of the beauty, I think, of the network. The NavalX network and the Tech Bridge networks is you don't have to be sort of stovepiped to one, and you're welcome to you know, utilize the resources and the capabilities here, even if it's in support of a different command or a different mission set. Whitney, does that answer the question you're looking for? Or?
And just because I am privy to some of the other questions, maybe you want to talk a little bit about Coastal Trident as well.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. So, you know, if we look at that innovation pipeline, there are key things that sort of happen along the way that happen on the Navy side that can be a facilitator for some of that. And so we have done a program, some of you might be familiar, it's called Advanced Naval Technology Exercise, ANTEX. A variety of different ANTEX events are done across the country. We are coming up on our 15th year of doing a program here called Coastal Trident. And really that is a venue where companies can come, and if you have a new technology or a tool or a capability that you want to experiment with in a port and maritime environment, we make it a really low barrier to entry to be able to come in, experiment, test with it. It is not a procurement opportunity. It's not something that you would come, try and sell your capability to. It is a way, if you look at that innovation pipeline, it's a way to really further mature and develop and understand maybe how the capability would be used for the Navy in that environment. And so it's an annual program. We kind of do experimentation all the way from San Diego up to about the San Luis Obispo area. This year with COVID, we were doing stuff all over the country, which is great. And we highly recommend, you can check that out. There's actually more information on the NavalX website for that. And we do have our initial concept development meeting coming up on November 18th. So if it's something you're interested in perhaps getting involved in or taking advantage of the environment, again, port, maritime, shipboard environments, feel free to connect up with me and I can get you more information on that.
Now, Alan, is that for NSWC Port Hueneme, or is that a TechBridge initiative?
So much like, the TechBridge Ventura is kind of centered around NSWC Port Hueneme. The Coastal Trident program is led by the team here, but it is open to any. I mean, last year we had 7 other warfare centers participating and almost 33 different companies. So it's sort of organizationally centered here around the Port of Hueneme, and we're trying to align and make benefit of the TechBridge and the larger ecosystem to support that. But it is open, across the country.
Because I recall for Shadi, when I was at SBIR or NAVWAR now, we had like Trident Warrior, which was similar kind of exercises where you could demonstrate new technologies and new capabilities for the warfighter as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would just offer the only sort of difference is Trident Warriors, a lot of times you have a little bit more refined or mature capabilities, and you have more visibility sort of from potential sponsors or customers. This is really meant to be more of a experiment, prototype, learn how to fail fast, improve, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And sorry, I'll just add one thing. Just on different ANTX or ANTX events might have different outcomes. So some of them do have commercial service opportunities related. Some of them do have SBIR companies going through, and we're trying to work on that, on bridging the gap there from exercise to funding vehicles. So, or taking SBIR companies and getting them demonstrated, and again, having a funding vehicle ready to go. So all of them are a little bit different, but just so you're aware, they're not all iterating. Some of them will get to the purchasing of that product. Thanks.
Okay. So to touch on a couple more questions here in the Q&A, I'm gonna group a couple of these together. So what are the services that the TechBridge is offered for small businesses? Are they different to innovators and entrepreneurs versus small businesses? And one of the questions was, would the TechBridge help navigate through the acquisition process to ensure that my products reach the customer? And then, part of the services is, would you host opportunities where small businesses can present their innovations or their solutions in front of the Navy and Marine program managers or relevant stakeholders? So that's Alan and Troy as TechBridge directors. What are your thoughts on those?
Troy, do you want to take the first stab?
Certainly. I mean, definitely. I think we're a complement to the SBIR program, programs, and in terms of the pipeline, definitely monitoring and ensuring success. We want to make sure that people do get through that pipeline successfully. So we monitor it. We may not have the lead on a particular function, say on the acquisition side, but definitely want to keep in touch, keep tabs on it, and make sure that it's working efficiently. And definitely looking, TechBridges can have individual showcases. pitch days for our region, and seeing definitely a need across the nation, and especially in the virtualization that we've gone on, into with COVID, really a need for a national pitch platform where we can all receive the technology pitches regardless of our geographic location. Over at SoftWorks, they have a program called Tech Tuesdays where they do that. They have 4 presentations every Tuesday, and companies are able to present their technical capability. I use that platform to scout for technology, but as everybody's starting to move into this space, you may see a single platform emerge, or you may see it just done individually as well. Over to you, Alan.
Yeah, thanks. And I just, I guess, would echo, what Troy said. And ultimately, again, it's our desire to see companies successful through that innovation pipeline. I started with our mission is really to accelerate capabilities to the fleet and the warfighter. And so there's nothing worse than seeing things that have good ideas that don't make it through there that we would like to see. And so whether that be commercialization, whether that be through cooperative research and development agreements like Jennifer talked about, which are also available now under SBIR programs we can work through. We really want to be able to help and be a facilitator, and whenever possible, connect and network and provide support where we can. I don't think there's anything beyond what Troy said that I can add, but happy to jump in with a question if there's something more.
So on the part about the acquisition side, maybe Jennifer can talk a little bit more about this, is there are within the Navy ecosystem, or there's the things called PTACs, right? The Procurement Technical Assistance Center that can help walk you through some of the acquisition side. Jennifer, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, actually, I can give you a real life Corona example to that regard. Through the I-Corps, there's a program called FedTech that was hosted at University of Maryland. We submitted one of our patents that was invented at Corona Division by one of our scientists to go through that process. It was a student team that took our technology through the customer discovery process, decided that they really liked what they saw and the potential to create a company and to create a product. They formed a startup and formed an official company around that technology, but then what, right? And being so green and so new, they didn't know what resources that their tax dollars, all of our tax dollars contribute to these myriad of programs to support businesses of all sizes, but especially our small businesses and our startups across the country. And so I was able to work with our local PTAC, Procurement Technical Assistance Center, that covers the Inland Empire, to connect with the PTAC that would support this startup company that just formed around our technology in Maryland. And so again, it shows the power of the network and utilizing these different resources such as UCR, and you have Excite and you have Epic, the SBDC there. If I can't connect a company to all these additional resources, then I'm really not doing my job, because it's not enough to just grant you permission to use our technology. We need to bolt on all those additional support services to help you be successful. And like I said, at the end of the day, our tax dollars are funding all of this. And so there's a lot of leverage and momentum and acceleration that companies can get from programs that are already fully funded and there for them to take advantage of and make use of. And I get really excited when I'm able to introduce companies to these resources that they never knew existed. And it just helps them get further down the road and closer to that acquisition goal.
Okay, thanks, Jennifer. So another question here. This is a little bit more technical and specific, and it looks like it might be Shadi that may be able to reference this, or we may need to direct them to the Socal Tech Bridge. But I'm working on machine learning and natural language processing project for disease detection. What tools or facilities would the Socal or other Tech Bridge have to support my research?
So the Socal Tech Bridge director is Lieutenant Colonel Brandon Newell. He's unfortunately not here today. I don't know if that specific focus area is sort of applicable to the Socal Tech Bridge, but I know that Whitney did provide an email address, so we can definitely connect that particular person who asked the question to the Socal Tech Bridge director to kind of get a little bit more clarity.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Shadi. So the next question here is, as a Sdvosb, how do we best submit a proposal for sole justification and award if it meets the naval warfare's mission, or must we wait for the Navy to request or figure out, so to speak, what we know? So I think if I understand that question correctly is, can a company provide like an unsolicited proposal or a proposal that they believe might meet a naval mission into the SBIR program, into TechBridge, into other programs for funding?
So we can certainly have like open discussions with industry on like what's out there, what's needed, but we don't accept an unsolicited SBIR proposal. It has to be tied to a cycle and a specific topic.
Thanks, Shadi. Another question here, this is for you, Troy, is so what are the major goals and accomplishments for the Inland Empire for upcoming 2021?
So really, one of the main goals right now is getting our footprint out off base. I mean, that's the key component of tech bridges, and to create that sustainable business model. We have a number of partners that we're working with, including UC Riverside, Cal State San Bernardino, the various local governments. So we want to have that footprint, develop that that partnership and that sustainable business model. The Navy and Office of Naval Research are going to provide some seed funding, and so that will help get us started. But we need to figure out that sustainable business model, and then want to launch our prize challenge to support some of our efforts that we're working on at NSWC Corona and data analytics. And ONR is going to provide the seed funding for that as well. So footprint, sustainable business model, and prize challenge.
So the prize challenge, can you talk a little bit more about the prize challenge? Is that going to be kind of an unrestricted like grant, or is that going to be, what are some of the details for, and is it eligible for small businesses? Can you be an entrepreneur?
Absolutely, and I'll probably pitch that question over to Whitney, since she's been heavily involved with that for a number of years. Oops, you're on mute.
I found the mute button. Great. Yeah, so prize challenges are actually an authority that allows us to post things on prize challenge. Maybe I said .com in the link, but it's prizechallenge.gov. I highly recommend you looking at it. They're kind of, so it's an authority that hasn't been used very much, or a contracting mechanism that hasn't been used very much, but it's a very good one for newer businesses or startups, small businesses who haven't worked with the Navy before. What I like about it is, I put .com twice. I meant .gov in the chat. But the cool thing about it is they put a problem, they put some specifics behind it, and you can apply to it pretty easily without going through a rigorous process. And you don't have to become registered with the SAMs or all of those kind of government-y accounting system certification processes until you receive an award. So if you're selected as a winner, then they give you some time to kind of set up your system. So that's prize challenge. That's one way that prize challenges work. Another way that prize challenges can work is you can go through an OTA consortium or BAA. It's kind of just the authority that allows you to rapidly put out a problem set and then get submissions from industry and academia. But again, well, it really depends. If it goes through a consortium, then typically you have to be a member to apply. And you do have to get your accounting system in order before you apply to most consortium. So that is so there's a lot of different ways to get involved, and it's not easy for even us to keep it straight. So as you have questions on what opportunities look good for you, feel free to reach out to this team.
Great. Thank you. It sounds like a great opportunity for small businesses and entrepreneurs. So you know, I've got a question for Jennifer here. So if I'm an entrepreneur, I don't have a research facility, I don't have a research lab, but I'm interested in kind of commercializing or translating a solution for the government or for the Navy in particular. How do I partner with the Tech Bridge to commercialize Navy intellectual property? How do I get aware of available Navy IP and commercialize that leveraging Tech Bridge?
Sure. So I want to give you a website that is fully funded by Department of Defense. It's a website for a PIA, Partnership Intermediary, called TechLink. Their website is techlinkcenter.org. And think of techlinkcenter.org as your Craigslist to Department of Defense patents and intellectual property that's available for commercialization. So if you're an entrepreneur and you already aren't married to a technology, but you love the commercialization process, you don't have to go through the process of getting the R&D to set up a lab and do your own research. These DoD laboratories have already done that for you through mission-driven innovation. You know, they're solving a problem for the fleet. In the process of solving that problem, they create solutions, and oftentimes those solutions lead to patents. And these patents are there and available, and not just patents, but inventions too, right? And software are there and available for licensing so that you can take that permission to utilize that invention and create dual use technologies for it. In some cases, you know, maybe DoD or federal government is your largest customer base potential for that. You're still creating like that supply chain and advancing that technology so that then you can compete on contracts and spin that technology back into the DoD. But you also might be able to create that dual purpose, that dual use, and have customers outside of the DoD and an industry. And I think there's so many items around us every day, even ones that we're utilizing right now to have a virtual meeting, that initially were founded under mission-driven innovation out of one of our federal laboratories. And companies were able to take that intellectual property and turn it into dual-use technologies that we use, such as, you know, LCD screens, or there's, you know, food supplements and fabrics and things that you would never have thought would have come out of federal research that are products in our daily lives. I shared with you the techlinkcenter.org, where you can shop Navy patents and all DoD patents. But there's also another website called federallabs.org. And Federal Labs, and Brian, you served as Far West Regional Coordinator for several years. I've served as Far West Regional Coordinator for several years. It's that umbrella organization that brings all of the federal laboratory entities together. And they have this great website with success stories that shows you all the technologies in our daily life that actually started in a federal lab environment, started with mission-driven invention. And now they're things that companies were able to take advantage of and turn into products and services that we rely on every day. And so I encourage every entrepreneur that's on this SBIR, think of it as like your undiluted venture capital to go forth and commercialize. But then you also have the patent portfolio at your disposal. And like Alan mentioned, you also have our facilities and unique capabilities that you can have access to. And so when you weave all of these things together through the power of the network of the Tech Bridge with the SBDC and the PTAC, you are really armed with a lot of tools to be successful and help us create that dual use vision, that dual use potential.
I just wanted to, Brian, can I just add something to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer. I also just wanted to say, you know, we have a tremendous amount of stuff happening here in the region, Southern California, Inland Empire, where sometimes your skills may be better served partnering up with another group who already has decided to commercialize some of the Navy IP. And so I would just say that we have a lot of projects that may need your talent. where you don't necessarily have to be the entrepreneur doing it all. You may want to join up or partner up with another group that either is applying for an SBIR or is working with Troy and Jennifer and Alan and the teams here in Southern California to bring some of the IP out of the labs. So I would just encourage everyone to stay connected with what's happening, because that might be a better use of your time and talent than trying to do everything on your own.
So that's a great point, Scott. And I was just going to say, one of the questions that are here is, a lot of the small businesses, they're not going to provide a complete solution for the warfighter, right? So how are we going to make those opportunities available to say, hey, this company is looking for this type of expertise, or this small business is looking to partner with a little bit bigger business to provide this? How would the tech bridges help kind of do that partnering, not necessarily for the end warfighter Navy need, but to provide that solution, that integrated solution?
Brian, can I take a quick stab at that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think we've seen a lot of that perfect example. We've seen a lot of that happen through the years via the Antex Coastal Trident experiment in plan, right? Is where a company has a part of it or a tech, and they're looking for a way to connect with with some other folks to put that to a full commercialization package or capability. And one of the questions I answered on the Q&A was, is it live or is it virtual? It's both. And we've seen a lot of successes over the years where just through the interaction within the larger community that is participating, again, whether it be the Antex events or the larger kind of tech bridge network, that we've connected up folks informally, and and then they go away, and a year later they come back with a more robust product that is integrated. And so again, just sort of engaging with the network, engaging with some of the opportunities that are out there. I think that's how we can help. And then obviously the tech bridge directors and through Whitney's group at NavalX, we have pretty good visibility across it, so we can help make those connections.
So for time, we have about 3 minutes, and I just want to thank the panelists for spending the last hour with us and sharing your knowledge with the audience. And in closing, any last nuggets of information you want to leave with the audience to talk about TechBridge, to talk about SBIR and integrating with TechBridge, to talk about tech transfer? We good? Awesome. And I apologize to those that we didn't get to answer their questions. So one last, if they wanted to kind of keep up to date with what's going on with TechBridge, is there a mailing list? Is it up to each individual TechBridge? How does one engage with and keep up to date with news?
Yeah, so I'll say we're building out a portal. That was the link we put in there, the one that has industry in the end of it.
Navy.mil/industry.
Yes.
That one.
So that link is kind of the beginning of the portal. If it's shut down right now, which it might be, it's because we're going through a phase where we're trying to go in and adjust it to make it more valuable. But I actually just watched the brief of where they're at today. And the goal is to have, a calendar of events in there, readily access to NavalX members, including the whole TechBridge team, so that we can rapidly share things across the board. So when that's fully built out, which I think is a few months away from it to being fully operational, although it's still in testing now and we can get in there and we can see your information when you put it in. So I highly recommend going in there. And then I was going to say, if you want to connect with a specific director in the meantime, or as you go, then Alan has information for his PIA partner and organization. I think all of us have ways to get in touch, but probably the simplest first step is going through agility@navy.mil, and they'll direct you to exactly who you ask to be connected to. And I think for now, we're letting everybody have a drumbeat, and they're going to always have their own drumbeat, but we're going to try to create a one-stop shop to see everything going on as soon as we can.
Awesome, great. So Martin, Misty, thank you for providing me an opportunity to kind of get back to my roots and, talking about Navy. That's where I started my career. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Martin and Misty.
Brian, thank you very much. It's always good to go back to your roots. It's helpful to do that. Anyway, Brian, thank you so much, and thank you to an exceptional, extraordinary panel. Much appreciated.